very popular weekly show called Ignite with Sandy, coming to you from the Celestia platform. So, do you remember what is Ignite with Sandy? Yes, it is when you are going to fire up all those neurons. You know why you're going to fire them up? Because I have fabulous guests every week, and they have special talents, they have special things to share with you. And when you hear their life stories, when you listen to them talking about how they've navigated their life so far, it's going to inspire you sitting in your room to be able to do something better and bigger with your life. So experiences are always our best teacher. And so a lot of us have experiences, but we don't really use them to learn something. And yet we have someone who is out there doing exactly that. And this very special lady, I came to know about her a couple of, I think maybe 2 years ago, and then I heard her. I won't say what I heard her saying or doing, but I heard her and I thought to myself, wow, this is somebody I need to have on a public platform. And now today she's going to be joining us. So remember, Celestial, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and of course, we are on YouTube. So you need to subscribe to our channel, you need to like, and you need to comment. And that is something that we want you to do every week. So who is this special lady? I always put them on the spot and I ask them to do a brief introduction about themselves. So I'm going to now hand over to my very lovely guest. Her name is Ranti. So Ranti, welcome to Ignite with Sandy. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you so much for having me on this amazing platform of amazing women. About me, it's always very hard and seemingly complex to say something about myself in few seconds, but basically I'm a young lady that has that just has an experience that has been varied over a short period of time. So I found myself in different industries, in different settings. And right now, what I'm most passionate about and pursuing is sharing joy through music.
Okay, wow. So now when I said I heard Ranti, it was I heard her sing because she's an opera singer. And she has this God-given talent that was discovered when she was quite young. She's still young, but this was when she was quite young. So Ranti, tell us a little bit about how you started your journey in music.
Yeah, my journey in music was pretty, I would say, sort of divine, because I had a music teacher as a neighbor. My mom taught in a high school, and the high school music teacher was our neighbor. And I was about 5 years old when I started learning how to play the recorder. And then after some time, he started teaching me, giving me singing lessons. And then I got into the high school eventually, joined the choir, and the rest is history, basically.
Yeah, so you were always this shining star, always the main singer?
Pretty much from my third year or second or third year in high school, yes, I became like the school soloist.
Yeah, so this is something that you're blessed with. It's a gift that you have, right? And
Yes.
as you moved along and you came into your high school years, was it something that you wanted to pursue as a career, you know, to become a professional opera singer?
Yes. So for opera singing, I had no real examples around me of, you know, people that were approachable or people that I just at least knew a little bit closer to me,
Okay.
that were in the field of opera singing or even professional musicianship. The closest I got to that was with my music teachers, because
Okay.
they also performed. So I just assumed that if I wasn't going to be a teacher, then, there was really no sort of career path, and that I would need to just get a real career and then uh, make music a very strong hobby.
Okay. So what was your career? Can you share a little bit about your academics?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I was very good at math and basic sciences. So the way it worked in my high school was that you got to choose the subjects that you liked that already fit into a certain career path.
Okay.
So you would be helped to pick these subjects. And so what I did was I said, I still want to study music. I still want to study foreign languages like French. What course, believe me, what course gives me enough room to add on these other subjects? And
Okay.
I came up with accounting, because basically accounting, you just had to take the accounting class, some business classes. It wasn't a lot of classes, so I could add them on. But my math teachers pulled me aside when the new term started and said, hey, you got basically all distinctions. Would you consider being in the science path? And I said, no. I had it all figured out at that age. I was probably, 12 years old or 13 or something like that. And then, they said, the way they convinced me was, just give it a try. And if you don't like it, you can always switch back. So I said, okay, nothing hurts. I'm a believer in trying everything at least once. So I started this journey, and that eventually led me to studying chemical engineering in the US.
Ooh, wow. So where were your school years? Were they in your home country, which is Nigeria, or were you in the States?
So I was born in the States, but I
Okay.
was raised in Nigeria. So I lived in
Okay.
Nigeria. My formative years were in Nigeria. So my high school and my grade school were in Nigeria, and then university and career life was in the US after that
Okay.
point.
So what I'm hearing from what you just shared is that because you're like smart, it was easy for you to combine a lot of things and just excel in most of them without too much effort. Is that correct?
There was a lot of effort.
Oh, okay.
Do not be deceived. There was a lot of effort. For instance, I remember by my maybe 2 years before the end of high school, I was already pulling all-nighters.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, there was a lot of effort, because I would sing in the choir or in a competition or rehearse. And I was also in the dance drama club, we called it. So those
Okay.
rehearsals were in the evening. So my study time started around 9 p.m. at night. Yeah, so it was not
Okay.
it
All
was
right.
not
So you would, all right. So, but obviously your level of energy was very high and you were able to switch from one to the other and able to focus on what you were supposed to do in that particular space. Is that
yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because sometimes what happens when you're young, you have a lot of interest and you have a lot of talent, but it's very difficult to channel it in such a way that you're able to do A, B, C, D, and give each of those things your undivided attention.
And I
So it's
also
very,
need to give
yeah,
credit to my mom, because
okay,
so she raised me as a single mom, and she
okay,
was a teacher, and she basically just really had this very open mind for those times. And so, like, for instance, starting my study at 9, what parent would let their child wait till nighttime to start studying? And so she got used to it and started going to bed before me, and just said, you know what, what you do. And
Okay.
so just that open-mindedness to say, okay, you're not going to take the traditional approach, but you're going to end up with a good result. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think that's wonderful because most parents don't have that open-minded, flexible kind of a approach. And I think she understood you very well.
Yes.
Yeah, so she knew there was this talent that needed to be nurtured. She knew that you were a very intelligent child who had more than one thing that she could do, and so she gave you that freedom
Yes.
to explore and to excel.
That's
Right? I
correct.
think so. That's a very important message for the mothers out there because I think you are right now a mom as well.
Yes, I am a mom. Yes.
Yes, and I think you've been double blessed.
Yes, I'm a twin mom, so I have a set of twins, a boy and a
Okay,
girl.
so keeping in mind how you were raised, are you sort of using the same kind of guidance for your kids?
Yes, yes, I definitely
Okay,
am. So trying to, for instance, my daughter is in a summer camp right now where she's basically focused on dancing and taekwondo and things like that, versus, just going into the academic,
yes,
uh,
yeah,
just kind of giving time for each thing, right?
yeah,
So the child gets to explore different
yeah.
parts of themselves and different interests that they have.
Okay, so we're going to sort of go backwards a bit in time, and you started working as a chemical engineer, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so while you were working as a chemical engineer, what was happening about your music?
Okay. So before I started working as a chemical engineer, I was in there was a music school, which was why I chose to go to Illinois Institute of Technology, because there
Okay,
was a music school that was embedded in it, but a different school called
okay,
Vandercook Music. And so I was in the choir, I was taking voice lessons, flute lessons, and piano lessons, and just sort of doing that
okay,
throughout my 4.5 year college experience. So going off to work, for a short period of time, my only music commitment was in church, where I
okay.
was I was the um,
You
praise
were the
team,
director?
the
Were
choir,
you the director of the
yeah,
choir?
the
Okay,
director of the music team, and
okay,
then eventually, I went to watch Handel's Messiah concert by the Apollo Chorus of Chicago. And on the back of the brochure, they said, if you want to join, there are auditions. And so it was a volunteer choir. So I auditioned. And at the audition, my sight singing, which is very important for choir,
mm.
was very strong, because I had lost some time and some experience in the middle of life.
Mm.
But he said to me, I was so sure I wasn't going to get it while I was going through the audition. But of course, I sang pretty well, and then I struggled with the sight singing. But as I was walking out, and he had no reason to do this because nothing to be gained. He stopped me, called my name, and said, I turned back, and he said, whatever you do in life, don't stop singing, is what he said to me. And so, of
And
course, I
that
joined.
stays with you to today.
Funnily enough, yes, yes,
Yes.
it has.
So I think it's these important, sometimes, as you said, he had nothing to gain, nothing to lose, but he made an observation.
Mhm.
Yes. And it's important. That's another lesson that I'd like people, our viewers, to say that when somebody says something to you, like what happened with you, sometimes you need to pay attention,
Yeah,
and just not dismiss it that, oh, I don't know him very well. He just made a statement. But no, in your case, you actually listened to what he said.
yeah, I did. I
Yes.
did.
And that I think from there onwards, you started taking a little more um, serious look at how you could improve yourself.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, indeed.
So tell me a little bit about getting married.
Wow, yeah, getting married was really interesting because I met my husband my first day on campus.
Okay.
Yeah, as a 15-year-old about to turn 16 on a college campus. And then we became friends. He graduated shortly after that. And then we just kept in touch, you know. And so by the time I was getting into like my junior year, getting into the end of the my college time, he started saying, "Hey, what do you think about da 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 da?" And then I said, you know, things like, "Look, I'm pretty unconventional. Are you ready to sort of travel the world or like be a stay-at-home dad or you know, my life?"
It, yeah, it's good that you're dropping hints like that, like stay home dad. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I said, you know, don't think because you see me in engineering school, my path is going to be very unusual. You know, I plan to sing all over the world, you know, things like that. So he said, no big deal, piece of cake. You know.
That's good. That's nice. In fact, you need somebody like that who's, willing to go with the flow and understands you because you were friends first, and I'm sure he was observing how you were juggling a lot of stuff and how
Yes.
dedicated you were and to your talent. So I think
Mhm.
that's something important as well. So you fast forward and then you got married. And when you got married, where did you stay? Were you in the States? Were you in Nigeria? Where were you?
We were in the States when we got married, and we lived there for a few years. And then he got the brilliant idea that he wanted to do something a little different and just still within the same company. He had the option of just going across like the streets almost,
Okay.
figuratively speaking, and getting a cool role. But he said it wasn't challenging enough. So he decided that we should move to Nigeria so that he can pursue a more challenging role.
And then after Nigeria, where did you go?
After Nigeria, he went to Kenya
Okay.
and kind of did the long distance shuttling back and forth thing. And then we both, or the whole family, then our family had increased by then, moved to Dubai.
Okay. So now you're based in Dubai, is that correct?
Correct, correct. With
Okay.
a little caveat, but correct, yes.
Okay. And so now, where do you find yourself in your career in music?
Yeah, so I think I'm in a transitionary stage that has been on for a little longer than I would have liked.
Okay.
But I'm making the most of it. And I made the strange decision to go back to school for the strangest course in opera. And I did that because we had this long break in COVID where I wasn't singing as much, then moved right after COVID to Dubai. And it was just kind of like all over the place. And I needed something that would refocus me, recenter me, rebuild whatever I had lost in that period of time. And I was fortunate enough to find a program one day on Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
but
That's good to
I
know.
had, I had already gone for some training in Austria before that. So I just needed to check with one of the professors, and he said it was a good program, and I went for it.
Okay. So is this a correspondence course or do you need to go to Europe or what?
Yeah, you can't sing via correspondence. I mean, we tried it during COVID, of course.
Okay.
Everything came on Zoom, which actually makes it a bit easier for me. So I can
Okay.
actually, there are times when I do have my classes on Zoom, my singing classes on Zoom, when I really have to be in Dubai, but it's not ideal and you don't really get enough out of that. So yes, I
Correct.
want to be in Vienna, Austria physically a lot.
Okay.
In
And what happens to the kids when you're off on your fabulous tours of Europe?
they are they're having fun with dad.
Okay.
Dad turns out to be super dad, and he's, has this always has this amazing schedule for them. So there's never a dull moment. And of course, in Dubai is made for kids as well. There's always this fascinating program or the other. So, and play dates, their lives are full of play dates. So it's been interestingly manageable, but it's also been very difficult. You
Yes,
know,
I'm quite sure. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Okay. So, do you know any other languages besides English, or do you only sing in English?
So there was one concert where I sang in 7 languages.
Wow.
Yes,
How
but
how did you manage that?
it comes with the territory. So in the opera world, you're expected to be able to sing in any language, just by learning the diction and whatever unique aspects of that language you need to be able to sing it. So diction is
Uh,
kind of part and parcel of
yeah.
the
But according to your profile, you are what they call a crossover singer. So
yes.
what is that?
Yes, that's interesting. Yes, because I never dreamt, I always dreamt of being a classical or opera singer. But when we moved to Nigeria, on one hand, I started singing in operas in Nigeria, which was
Okay.
very interesting how that all worked out again divinely. But on the other hand, when I was thinking about finally quitting, so I continued working I actually worked as an environmental engineer in
Okay.
Nigeria, in one of the major oil companies in Nigeria. And so when I was considering quitting, at that point I had already dabbled into contemporary music. I had this whole network of people around me, and so my husband said, "Would you at least consider trying to do both, trying to pursue both the contemporary and the classical music, so just so that you have a wider reach, and from the business angle and everything." It just made more sense. But I had found a part of contemporary music that I could sort of relate to and I could express, which was mostly like folk songs and a lot of like indie sounding songs.
Okay. So, of course, you do know that you're going to have to perform.
Right.
All right, but before we get there, what kind of advice would you give to the ladies who are watching and will be watching in the future about how they should, if they have a talent, what should they do? Number one, and number two is how should they prioritize their time? Because that's something that you did very well.
That's something that I'm still working on every
Okay.
day, every single day. I'm trying to just look at my notes a little bit because I wrote a few things down that I wanted to share.
Yes,
Um,
please do.
so, I mean, it's my first thing or point, not really a piece of advice, but a point is it's going to be challenging. So we all know that life is full of challenges. I mean, the pandemic showed us the height um, those challenges could go. Can you still hear me? I feel like it's a bit
Yes,
choppy.
yes. No, no, it's okay. Carry on, please.
Yeah, so life is really challenging. Life is really hard. The first thing I would say is mental strength, because when you're faced with multiple things and you feel like you have multiple priorities and multiple things to juggle, the first thing is not to panic, right?
Right.
First thing is don't panic, because once you panic, at least once I panic,
Mhm.
it all sort of looks really gray, and then things really look like a big mess. But once you breathe in, breathe out, take a walk, do whatever you need to do, talk to God about it, and get into that calm space, and do whatever it takes to sort of open up your perspective in a positive way. So um, I really try to emphasize the positives in my decision making and sort of not, yes, sometimes I'm accused of being, what's the word? An idealist, right? Not a
Oh,
real. Yes, but in life you kind of have to balance both because your ideals, what makes you you, might not be realistic or a reality for somebody else. So you might try
quite
to explain it, but it wouldn't make any sense to any other person but you.
very good point. Extremely good point. Because sometimes what happens is you don't listen to your inner voice. You don't listen to what works best for you because you're being influenced by what other people think would be good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's an excellent point. Thank you for sharing it.
No worries.
Okay. What's the next gem?
Okay, the next gem would be having a support system, right? Um, I've been very blessed with an awesome support system, and I keep even making adding more people to my support system every year or so, you know. So I have people that I have different levels of support. So of course I
Okay.
have my family's support, I have mentors, I have peers, I have my friends that are like sisters, and then I just have like people that are experts in different things that I can call on once in a while and just say, hey, just rubbing minds with you or just checking with you. And then at some point you do probably need to pay a coach sometimes, or just you just need to sort of go the extra mile.
Correct.
um, so just being surrounded with a support system is very important because um, yes, the people around you might not understand what you're trying to achieve, but there just might be someone who has done something similar or something crazy in their world, that you can glean from.
Yeah. I think one of the other things is sometimes you don't really need somebody to say something to you. You just need somebody to listen to you.
Yes, definitely. That is true. My
Yeah.
support system is made up of many good listeners.
Okay. So now, can where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
So
I know you're a planner. I know you've got something going.
I am a planner, but the planning side of me has been challenged so much that I plan in pencil. So
Okay. Just
I
erase it.
plan, yeah, I plan because I know that I might have to erase a part of it at some point and replace it with something else. So in 5 years, I see myself really at the peak of my career, like really just everywhere possible, in every opera house possible in the world, in every concert stage possible. Just being, like I said, just that force of joy, that light, that yeah, just that influence on people, positive influence on people, on a lot of people, on a global platform. That's what I see. How are we
Good.
there? I'm not so sure.
No, no, it will happen for sure because so far everything that you have decided to do in your life has happened. So why shouldn't this happen?
Yes, it's been
All
a
right.
blessing.
Yeah. And I want to ask you this one thing. I've known you through a common friend, Madupe, and I heard you sing as well. So, what happens when you go on stage and you hold that mic in your hand and you just start? What changes in you?
That's a really good question. But before I answer that question, I wanted to make a real quick point about support systems
Okay.
and how sometimes you don't even know the kind of support that you'll need, but that support comes in just divinely, really. And that was the story of Modukwe and I. Modukwe is the convener of Runway Dubai. And we met over Instagram because during COVID, CNN had done an interview expose on me, and she watched it here in Dubai, which was pretty remarkable. And she just said to herself, I need to know this girl, and goes on Instagram and sends me a message. And I instantly just connected because I get messages all the time on Instagram, but I don't, sometimes I'm just like, not so sure. That's so creepy or whatever. But for some reason, it was just something about the way she wrote. We connected. And so a few years or a year later or something like that, when I'm find myself moving to Dubai, that's a huge support system that I can call on. And I find myself eventually singing at Runway Dubai, where you heard me sing.
Absolutely, and it was divine. So so you're this chatty person, and you're the mom who's off stage, and then you come on stage. And when that happens, and you take your place on stage, what changes in you?
A lot. It's pretty profound. It's like it's like you're little and then all of a sudden you become a giant, like in an instant. It's and for me it usually happens after the first line. Like once I sing the first line, once I breathe, I'm able to breathe and get the first line out. The rest is just, basically pure
Pure
magic.
magic. Very true, very true. Because that's what I was able to sense because I just seen you off stage, and then it was announced and you came on stage and I looked at you and you just transformed.
That's exactly what happens. It's a gift, so
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can't take full credit. It's really a gift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something very divine, and it comes from within, and it just transforms you into somebody else.
I agree. I
Right.
agree.
So now I'm going to ask you to give us a little bit of uh, a song that you think, not opera, but your crossover, something
Mhm.
that is a favorite of yours. Can you just sing a little bit of that for us?
Okay. So I started getting really complicated about what do I sing? And I'm getting all these exotic thoughts. And I'm thinking, I always do that? It's my weakness. I complicate things and before I simplify them. So literally I had this complex thing in my head, but then just as we started the podcast, I said, no, why? Let's do something sweet and simple. So hope you enjoy this.
Okay. Oh, we're all ears.
So it's just a cappella. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Yeah,
Wonderful. And so
Edelweiss, sound
you
of
put Julie Andrews to shame.
no, she's a legend.
No. Well, I heard that song because it's from The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Yes, and I remember listening to that song many, many times because I saw the film, several times, but you
Exactly.
bring a different character to the song.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
that's what happens when you're a talented and gifted singer. You always bring out your own personality and your own creativity to your voice. So now we heard the very simple Edelweiss, and now you're going to share with us something from the opera. So we're all
I
yours
thought
now.
I thought I was off the hook.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no, not with Sandy.
okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just going to sing a short line.
Okay,
It's from the opera Carmen, and
okay,
it's called Habanera. So
okay.
I didn't practice this because I
Do
thought I
you,
was off the hook.
darling, tell me, do you really need to practice for a webinar?
No, 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 never. But yeah, anyway, so it's l'amour, 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 l'amour est un fond de bohème. Il n'a jamais, jamais connu de loi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Si je te me prends garde à toi. Si tu ne m'aimes pas, si tu ne m'aimes pas, je t'aime. Mais si je t'aime, si je t'aime, mon garde
Oh, and so effortlessly, I must add. Yeah, that is absolutely amazing, my love, because I know I've heard you sing and whatever, but it's always a pleasure. And you transform completely.
Thank you.
Okay, even in that very short space, you're somewhere else.
I'm a
You know.
storyteller, apparently.
Anyway, love, it's been wonderful. So, as we bring this webinar to an end, what are three things that you feel that people listening, ladies especially, what are the three things that you could share which have really worked very well for you and you feel it would be useful for them?
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, like I said already, just channeling everything that comes
Okay.
and looking for the positive angle in everything that comes. That's like my biggest thing. Also, using challenges as stepping stones. So when I'm challenged, all of a sudden my brain wakes up and my creativity seems to just get amplified, right? And so sometimes I'm like, no, I don't want to wish for challenges, but I do know that within challenges are gems. So I would just encourage my fellow women, mothers, sisters, friends out there, just embrace the challenge. Embrace the challenge. It will not break you. You will only become stronger. That would be like the biggest thing for me. And also listen to pointers on your path of destiny. So like I gave the example of the man that said, whatever you do in life, don't stop singing. Don't just go through life so fast. Stop and just try to catch those moments, that can really alter things for you in the right direction. And what would be the last thing is your support system, your mentors, your friends. You really have to be so intentional on who is in your circle, who is talking into your ears. I
Yes.
listen to a lot of faith broadcasts. I'm a Christian. I listen to a lot of authors. I listen to a lot of people that have just done things, biographies of people that have just done awesome things, going out of space. And then I look at what I'm doing and I say, I'm not even going out of space. It's not even rocket science, and that gives me perspective.
Yes, wonderful, my love. It would be lovely to have you back, and I'm sure Celestia is going to be organizing in-person events later in the year,
I'll be
and you're going to be one of them.
I can't
who's
wait.
going to be speaking and singing as well for us, because I think you have such an amazing talent, and it's always so wonderful to hear you sing. But today I've seen another aspect of your character, and I've got to know you better. And thank you so much for being so open
Thank you.
and talking straight from the heart.
Thank you. Thank you
Right?
so
Thank you so much
You are a
for this.
rare gem, Sandy. Thank you so much. You've met me like 3 times, but your love and your large heart just come through. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, because I think it's always a connection which is at the energy level. It's not so much about you as an individual and me as an individual, and that's how I think the synergy grows. So you don't have to meet each other all the time, but whenever we do connect, whenever we do speak,
Kindred
it's
spirit.
always good. Yes, I think that's an important thing that all our viewers and our listeners should be looking at, because we don't want to miss those special moments. We don't want to miss those special opportunities, as you said.
Special people.
Yes, because, for example, I'm not really in your inner circle, but I'm there on the periphery. But when we meet, there's always something positive that happens. There's always a positive charge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we need to recognize that, and we need to, once we do recognize it, I think it's important for us to then nurture that and keep it going. So, and keep that flow, so that in the future, we don't know how, where, when, or why something amazing will happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct? So on that lovely note, thank you very much, Ranti, for joining us. And anyone watching us on YouTube later on, I'm sure you will have enjoyed this wonderful episode, just as I've enjoyed interviewing our wonderful diva, Ranti. And from all of us at Celestia, thank you very much. God bless. And don't forget, we're on Instagram,
Yes.
we're on Facebook, and of course, we're on YouTube. So with that lovely thing, we shall meet next week, where I promise I will ignite your neurons just as I've done today. Take care and God bless.